Hi everyone, in this Ivanti video we're going to have a quick overview of how to configure Ivanti Neurons for patch management to provide informed, risk-based patching of your IT estate. We'll start with a brief look at the architecture of the solution and then investigate the different options available to you in designing an appropriate patching solution for your environment. One thing to note, new features and changes to the user interface for Ivanti Neurons for patch management are happening regularly, so this video will focus on the concepts. Please check the help for the latest information, and for specific details of how to implement features, it's much easier for me to update the help than this video. Right, let's get started. Each device that you want to patch needs an agent installed on it. There are different agents for each operating system, including for each Linux distro. The agent is a minimal application that coordinates the interactions between the endpoint and Ivanti Neurons. Alongside the agent is a policy, which you configure using the Agent Policies page. The agent policy specifies which capabilities the agent has, that is, which Neurons features the agent can use, and so which engines get installed on the endpoint to provide those features. In effect, this means that the policy defines which devices can be patched. If the device has a policy that has the patch management capability, then it is regularly scanned for all applicable updates in the Ivanti patch catalog or Linux repo. But how do we define which of these updates are deployed? We do this by associating a policy with a patch configuration that defines the schedule and criteria for a patch to be deployed to the devices with the associated policy. So a patch configuration enables the scanning of a device and specifies which missing patches get deployed and when, and the associated policy defines which devices get these patches. Let's look more closely now at a patch configuration. On the patch settings page, click Create Configuration and give your configuration a name. The Configuration Behavior tab enables you to define the requirements for Windows, Mac and Linux. Note that there are different options available for each of these, and even for each Linux distro. We are constantly adding new functionality, so remember to check the help for the latest information, but the differences in options for the different operating systems are often because they provide different information to base decisions on and provide different abilities themselves. In this video, we will look at the configuration options available for Windows, as this is the most common operating system and also demonstrates a wide range of the options that may be available. The first thing to note for Windows is that there are 3 tasks you can configure, one each for routine maintenance, priority updates and zero-day response. This enables you to configure a risk-based approach to patch deployment, where a single patch configuration can deploy different types of patch at different frequencies. Routine maintenance is for the more traditional patching that you do shortly after Patch Tuesday. This typically covers the standard patching of operating systems and applications, and often requires a reboot of the endpoint. Some applications, however, deserve more frequent patching. Browsers and telecoms applications often release updates more frequently, and by their very nature can expose you to greater risk. As these updates rarely require a reboot, scheduling these patch deployments more frequently can reduce your vulnerability with little impact on users. This is the purpose of the Priority Updates task. Finally, there are times when speed is of the essence. If a vulnerability is known to have been exploited, for example, then you will want to get the patch out to everyone as soon as possible. This is the zero-day response. There are some differences in the options available for each operating system and for each task, so check the help for the detail. In this video, we'll just take a look at the routine maintenance task, as that will give us a good overview of the type of options available. The scheduling section enables you to configure when the selected patches will deploy. There are standard controls to enable you to specify the date and time for the recurrence of the task. You can also configure the deployment to happen within an hour of a device being powered back on if it was switched off when the scheduled deployment happened. The Stage Content Before Deployment option instructs the engine on the endpoint to download patches ahead of the deployment task. This is particularly useful for endpoints with maintenance windows, so that none of the duration of the maintenance window is wasted on the download. Now that we have configured when the deployment will take place, we can specify which patches will be deployed. Deploy by severity enables you to specify that only patches with certain vendor-specified severity levels are deployed. The different operating systems and Linux distros provide different information about severity levels, so the values available here differ depending on the operating system or distro. Deploy and exclude by patch group enables you to make use of risk-based vulnerability data from Patch Intelligence to specify one or more groups of patches that you want to include or exclude from a deployment. This helps you to ensure that only approved patches are deployed. Note that patches in patch groups that are set to exclude will not be deployed even if other settings, such as severity, specifically suggest that they should be. By default, patches from all vendors are deployed. However, you can choose to deploy patches only from selected vendors or for specific products. Finally, you can configure how reboot requests are handled. Be aware that it is the agent on the endpoint that coordinates the reboot requests into specific reboot events. Here we just specify that we would like a reboot. Also remember that some patches rely on the endpoint being rebooted before they are installed, and the endpoint will still have the vulnerability until it is rebooted. We recommend that you disable reboots only for servers that have maintenance windows scheduled. When you are happy with your configuration, click Save and Make Active. The configuration is saved and made active for the devices that are assigned to the associated policies. Each device will receive the new configuration when the device's agent next checks in with Ivanti Neurons. I hope you found this video useful. Remember to check the help for details and the latest information. To see more videos like this about all of our products, please subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.